A number of decades ago, the ACT Party was founded. The founder was a man by the name of Roger Douglas. Roger Douglas was a powerful politician of the 1980s. He was Minister of Finance during the fourth Labour government. He is remembered as one of the most significant politicians in the nation's history. He orchestrated brutal economic reform. He deregulated the economy, he sold many government assets, he corporatized and privatized state assets, he reformed the tax system massively, he cut top income tax rates significantly. He funded this by introducing the goods and services tax. GST is of course a flat tax by stealth. Roger Douglas cut taxes massively for the wealthy and increased taxes on ordinary people to pay for it. And wealth inequality immediately skyrocketed. Always remember that the right does not oppose taxation. They just want to redistribute the tax burden away from the rich and towards ordinary people. The founder of the ACT Party introduced GST. He introduced GST to help fund tax cuts for the wealthy. It is all about serving the wealthy. They do not have a principled opposition to taxation. Roger Douglas was a bold economic reformer. He transformed the New Zealand economy. He had no popular mandate to do this, and had no interest in acquiring a popular mandate. He did not campaign on his reforms. He did not tell voters what he was about to do. He just did it. On numerous occasions, he misled voters about his intentions. He was a very dishonest politician who made a mockery of democracy by implementing an extreme agenda without campaigning on it and acquiring a mandate. Roger Douglas had a very simple reformist philosophy. Do what you want to do, and do it as quickly as possible. Take too long, be too transparent, be too considered, and people will stop you. That was his attitude. It was a very effective attitude, but not a very democratic one. This is the man who founded the ACT Party. He wanted to introduce even more extreme policies. He wanted to go after the trade unions. He wanted to introduce a flat tax rate. He wanted to gut the public services that ordinary people rely on. He wanted extensive privatization. Thankfully, he was prevented from doing this. Soon after, he left Labour and founded the ACT Party. The purpose of the ACT Party is to complete the hideous economic agenda of Roger Douglas. Privatization. To ensure that the rich can squeeze as much wealth out of people as possible. Deregulation. To destroy protections for workers, renters, and the environment so the rich can make more money with less effort. Stagnant minimum wages. To reward hard work with exploitation and poverty. Union busting. To preserve the massive power imbalance between employers and employees, and the exploitation that goes with it. Tax cuts for the rich, paid for by cuts to the public services that ordinary people rely on. The destruction of the social safety net. Taking resources from those who are struggling the most to fund tax cuts for those who are struggling the least. That was the agenda of Roger Douglas. That is the agenda of the ACT Party. But in many ways, ACT is even worse than what Roger Douglas envisioned. Roger Douglas has recently criticised the ACT Party for being shameless servants of the rich and wealthy. Roger Douglas criticised ACT for being too obsessed with serving rich people to the detriment of everyone else. They are becoming too extreme, even for him. And aside from economics, we see new ugly ideas emerge. Roger Douglas always envisioned ACT as an almost exclusively economics-focused party. They have strayed from that and adopted idiotic policies on other issues. The idiotic treaty referendum, a gross perversion of democracy. Democracy is for electing governments and deciding on laws. Democracy is not for defining historical facts, which is what the proposed referendum seeks to do. And it is a recipe for massive division and political instability. It will excite the worst people on both sides of the political spectrum. And there are other examples too. The ACT Party supports Israel. They have repeatedly stated their support for Israel. Israel is openly conducting ethnic cleansing. Israel is killing thousands of little children. Israel is brutally raping prisoners. And ACT stands with them and defends them. Simon Court proudly waves an Israeli flag. David Seymour states his support for Israel. If that isn't an indication of moral depravity, nothing is. ACT is a worthless political party. They claim to be libertarian. They are part of a government that has passed a gang patch ban, a blatant violation of free speech. They had massive leverage. They did not use it to decriminalise drugs, which is what any serious libertarian would do. The ACT Party are donor-serving idiots with a blatantly anti-worker policy agenda. They try to obscure this reality with stupid culture wars about Maori politics. It is pathetic. In 2026, ACT must be defeated. Kicking them out of government is not good enough. They should be voted out of parliament.